Everyone, how are you doing? Today I want to share with you a free pattern. It's a summer dress I found on the Peppermint magazine website, and you can print off the pattern, but I will show you. You can only print a few pages and the rest you don't have to print out. You can just cut it with the measurements they give you. Now this is a summer pattern, as you can see. There are no sleeves on. It's very easy, really. I'm going to show you another picture I found on the website. You see the back. You don't need a zip for this. It has 2 layers. There's the inside pocket, but I'm going to be making mine as a patch pocket. Let's look at the armhole. And as you can see, the length, it's like mid-calf, and this is for somebody that's, I think, 5.2 they say in the instructions, or like 1.73 meters. So if you want to have your dress shorter, you could like make your layers 2 centimeters shorter. You have to compare your measurement with the dress itself before you start cutting, okay? It's from size 74 centimeter until 129 centimeter bust, and then it's also in inches, okay? That was the high bust. It's actually the full bust. The high bust, let me see how they use it. Yep, yes, 104 centimeter. I will be using G, and my hip I will be using 118 centimeter. But as you can see, it's a very flowy dress around the hip, so I would say the bust measurement is going to be the most important one that you have to consider. So I would suggest you go with the bust measurement, the bust, and not the high bust. And then this is the finished garment where they actually added the ease, okay? Now you have to compare your measurement first with the measurement of the pattern before you start cutting. So yeah, the instructions are also on here. Everything is for free. You can download the pattern. So these are the only numbers I printed, and I will use the measurements. They have the instructions for the skirt parts. I will just put them all together now. This is a cotton type of fabric because I'm going to be using it for summer. This is cotton polyester, and it's a little see-through, but not really. But I'm going to wear a slip dress or petticoat or whatever you call it underneath it, which I normally wear under my dresses. And I even use that slip dress in winter time, but I wear a thicker one. But for this one I will be making a thinner version of a slip dress, so I don't need to do a lining, and I can use the slip dress for my other dresses. So I'm going to upcycle this duvet. This is a massive duvet, and I like the cheerful polka dots. I am also going to make another dress. Then I'm going to be adding a sleeve. This is just a simple drawing I made. I'm going to make a normal sleeve, but it's going to be a little bit loose fitting, so it can be airy. and be nice and cool. And I will just add a small little ruffle there by my elbow. It's going to be elbow length. I will show you how I am going to draft the sleeve. So yeah, you need to decide the specifications of your dress. How do you want your dress to be? If you need really need this dress. Now this dress is slightly fitted, as you can see. There is a dot. So and it is near the waist. Now what I'm going to be doing, I'm going to make mine a little bit shorter, not under the bust, it will be between the bust and the waist. So I will compare the measurement of the pattern they have. I will put it in front of my body and just see where it fits me, because I don't want it to be on the waist itself. I don't want it to be straight under the bust either. So I will have a look. So tape all the pattern pieces together, only the bodice, right? The bodice front and the bodice back. And the skirt I am not going to print out. I am just going to draw it on my fabric because they are just squares. So I only printed these numbers, and you can find the pages in the description, and you can just print those numbers. And you even can just print only your size, but I decided I want to print out all the sizes because I can use the pattern again and just alter the pattern. Now as you can see, I didn't type it yet. This is not for my beginners. Most people just start cutting on the lines, but I decided I want to see what's going on here with this company's pattern, and I folded it and I placed everything together. So as you can see, this part here is the front, sorry, the back, right? This is the back. So the beginners can actually follow what I'm going to be doing. So I know exactly where they fit together, so I'm starting to cut on the lines, and then as you can see, it's cut on fold, so it needs to fit somewhere again, so it only makes sense over there. But you can use the instruction sheet on the website, and I'm using sellotape to tape it together. I discovered that some of the pieces of the pages I'm not going to cut, I'm just going to fold them. Now every company's patterns are different, so this is just for me easier. Some I will cut and some I will just fold. So I used this lingerie paper. You can use tracing paper if you want to trace down the pattern and keep the original one. Otherwise you can just start cutting on your size. Now what I also did was, I actually, here where they say lengthen or shorten, I made mine shorter, although this pattern is for somebody that's 1.73 or 5.7 feet. And I decided I don't want this part to be at the waist. I want it a little bit higher than my natural waist. So I folded it like on the line, like this. It's going to look like so. So in the end it's going to be like 2 centimeters shorter. Okay. What I also did was, here by the neckline, this was my size, I decided I first went to see where the neckline will be of this size of the that I chose, and I've discovered I would like to have it higher, so I made my neckline on my pattern that I traced. I made it higher and I cut it over there, and the same with the back. I decided that I wanted to have the neckline of the back higher. I first tested to see where it would be, and my head is still supposed to go through, and so this neckline is also higher and not what the pattern is. So you need to compare in the end. If you're a very short person, you need to compare the neckline, because this pattern was made for somebody that's 1.73, and I think it is almost like the models. 1.73 is quite a tall person. So I'm getting the fabric ready, and this is the duvet cover, and I decided that I'm going to keep the piping here. It's a corded piping. I might use it someday for some other project, so I'm just going to cut along this line, and then I will keep my polka dot fabric. So I'm going to cut the layers, actually cut the first one, which is 86 centimeter wide, and the bottom one is 129. Now I noticed that my fabric is a little bit narrower than 129 centimeter, but that is okay. So here are the pattern pieces that I cut out. The bodice front and the bodice back, and those are that is the pockets. This is the skirt parts. This is the top layer, and this is the bottom layer. And what I decided in the end, I'm not going to make a loose slip. I will just add a lining, and this is from, that lining is from, the lining that I got from the bed floor I don't use anymore. So here I am going to treat this as one. My plan is now to overlock the pieces together, and then I will continue following the instructions of the pattern, which is quite very good. So the next step according to the instructions will be to stay stitch right around here, the curvy parts and the armhole, but I actually overlocked mine because I'm adding the lining piece, because I decided I'm not going to wear the separate slip for the dress. So I did the overlocking on the bodice back and bodice front with my skirt pieces as well. As you can see, I overlocked, and I didn't overlock the whole thing. I just did the sides because I'm going to do the gathering there, and I also did overlock the pockets. And what I did, I actually added a lining piece as well. So make sure that you have all your pieces ready. So according to the instructions, you are going to do the dot. Now, for somebody that is just the B cup, okay, which the pattern is, you can just take exactly as it is. And if you want to have your bodice a bit fitted, then you want to have your dart fitted very well. Now I have a D cup and I adjusted the pattern first. I did an alteration. I can link for you a video so that you can do your alterations, okay, of your dart. Let the dart point downwards. Now I'm going to suggest that you fit it on your body. I went to the mirror, I put it on, I looked exactly how it fits. Now remember, the dart needs to point towards your bust point, not down. When you alter it, it needs to point towards, not exactly on the bust point, but towards it, so you fit it on, okay? And I suggest you put on your undergarments that you're going to wear, or your camisoles or whatever, when you are going to fit it on. Now, for those of us who need to do more alterations, I put a pin here. I have a hollow back, right? It's like the spine goes in very curvy there. And I normally use my own patterns that I make, but for this video I wanted to use this website pattern. So this is too long, this part. I fit it on also because I've got the hollow part here. So I'm going to put a pin here, so I'm going to have to make a plan here. I'm going to make it shorter towards the middle. Okay, so what I'm trying to say is here, please put on your bodice, because that's the most important part before you're going to add your skirt parts. So I fitted on the bodice and I'm very happy with the fit. I first stitched the darts, I pressed it, and I did the side seam, and I also overlocked it, and I sewed the shoulder and I overlocked it. So I'm going to be ready now to do the bias binding around the neckline and around the armhole.